welcome to the Small Business Support Group. It is, I should always check the date before I start, Tuesday the 9th of June. Summer is here, sort of. It's just me and Grant this morning at the moment. Everybody else seems to be having technical issues. But, there's us with our microphones, which are looking like they're connected.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. If I get a piece of string, I'll just hand it to you like this.
There
you go.
Brilliant. Right, Ed's in. Good morning, Ed.
Howdy.
How are you?
EVDK.
How you doing?
You've never joined us on this before. So where are you in your house at this present moment in time? Let's have a look.
I'm sat between the corridor at the top and my bed. I've got about 1 square meter to my name at the moment. The house is full of children and people going about their business. So this is the tiniest bit of respite that I get in my house, I'm afraid.
That's all right. That's all right. That's fine. A little bit of chaos around you, but it's always nice to be.
It's quite nice actually, because I've got zero gravity to my right, and I can just shut the door. So no, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
It'd be funny if someone tries to get in. They're going to barge right in and knock him off his stool. That's weird.
Yeah. No, there's definitely a new protocol in this house, and in fact, when I got your invite, Grant, it was like, right, everybody out.
I was actually thinking about fitting, because obviously my entrance and exit door to my office is here, is actually fit a red light above it and just have a switch.
I thought about that.
And just switch it on. Well. But Tina said no. Okay. Fair enough. Maz is here. You got everything started up now, Maz?
Thank the Lord for that.
What was going on?
Bloody crazy. Anyway.
We're live.
Oh, sorry. Okay, good afternoon. Hey, Ed.
Good morning, Maz. Long time no see. How you doing?
I know. Where have you been?
Oh, well, work, all that.
Looking
busy. Thank you.
He always looks well. He always looks well, that man.
That's it. I've got the slick back routine now. I'm cultivating a mullet, which...
no, don't do that. I've got. Obviously, we have 2 levels of t-shirts here. We've got the old Blam and the new Blam. That's
we call that the retro Blam, don't we?
The retro Blam. Sorry, yes,
that's retro Blam. That'll be a collector's item. That will.
It will be part of the range as well. So people can still buy old school Blam stuff. Definitely. Yeah, because it's
the way to go.
Yeah, it is. We've got a range now. Yeah,
we have.
Excellent.
Do you know what? Just speaking of that, just to let you know, in the pipeline, we've got social distancing floor stickers and Blam masks on their way.
Have you?
Yeah.
Really? What's the social distancing stickers for? Please tell us.
This is a little bit of a project of my daughter's, actually, who's very artistic, and she wanted to do a little project during lockdown. And a social distancing sticker goes on the floor, to do the whatever it is. It's 2 meter. They're talking about 1.5, aren't they? Who knows? We're like 50 centimeters soon. But anyway, it's a sticker where you stand if you're in a queue. So I'm getting some printed for her for school. So they're basically, floor stickers, so they can use it at school. But they've just announced this morning that schools aren't going to be open, are they? Primary schools?
No, they're not. They're not. Well, that's primary schools. What about the upper grade ones?
Yeah,
they've said September maybe. But they're not sure. So
depends on which council you're in, though, isn't it? Depends on which council you're in, though.
I think they said this morning because of social distancing, they're just not going to open. So I think there's only, is it year 6 and year 10 that are going to be in?
Yeah, that's
right. They're doing
that's what's in at the moment. So they're not expanding that, are they?
Right. I think my daughter's going back. She's in year 10. She goes back next week, I think.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right, that's interesting.
Right, might be the week after. I don't know, I lose track.
I don't really follow the news, if I'm honest. Don't really follow the news at all.
No.
Stop watching it.
Well, yeah, we have to inform Grant the news every day. So he
But I
doesn't-
try to make a bit of an effort these days because
You
otherwise
are now.
I lose track of what you guys are going on about. So I do about a 5-minute blast in the morning just to
That's
see
all right,
what's
that's all
going
you
on
need.
before I lose interest.
That's all you need. Right then, Maz, you want to kick things off this morning?
Yeah. So I actually wanted to talk about key workers today. School is something that I want to talk about, but not today. I think I'll do that tomorrow because I'm going to have a rant about that. I'm so annoyed, but I'm going to be positive today. So yeah, key workers. So whilst most of us are self-isolating and working from home, there are so many for whom actually it's not an option. And, you know, the smooth running of our lives has been made possible by these people. And I hope that when we look back on this pandemic, our brave key workers will be remembered for everything they did for us. You know, as our nation preserves against COVID-19, we find ourselves leaning not on the powers that be, but actually on ordinary people and their extraordinary strength and kindness. And I'm not just talking about the NHS here. Yes, the NHS have been amazing, but I'm talking about the shopkeepers, the teachers, the train drivers, the police officers. I mean, these are the frontline workers that we're actually proud to call our own. And we have seen a tremendous amount of community spirit, acts of kindness and unity throughout this pandemic. You know, our heroes today are very, very different. And there's been a shift in who we look up to and you know, admire. And I think that these people need to be celebrated. You know, there were always heroes doing their jobs to keep this country on its feet. But actually, they're also normal people, just like you and me. And there's such a beauty in normality, but it's taken an international crisis for us to see it. So I'm going to touch on the Vogue's edition. The Vogue's July cover has actually really, truly touched me. I've seen images of it on LinkedIn and Instagram. I mean, Vogue is renowned for placing the world's most current and iconic celebrities on their front cover. But by putting our key workers on the front page of their July issue, key workers are established as the new icons of our lifetime. You know, the fashion Bible has actually broken with tradition to celebrate the everyday heroes risking their lives during this pandemic. You know, the July cover celebrates the millions of people in the UK who, at the height of the pandemic and in the face of danger, put on their uniforms and went to work. And the front cover picked 3 key workers to represent thousands of people out there. One of them, I think, is Nargis Horsford, who's a train driver on the London Overground. The other one is Rachel Miller, who's a community midwife in East London. And then you've got Anissa Omar, who's a supermarket assistant in King's Cross, Central London. You know, just seeing these images and the publication name says everything about the state of our wide community and its priorities. I mean, well done to you, Vogue, for truly ditching the fashion to feature angels. I mean, during the pandemic, I think we've realized that actually the heroes are not the people that have found their way to fame and fortune, but are the key workers, the ones that are working away to support the rest of us, regardless of the fact that they get no recognition or praise. And, you know, that got me thinking, this mindset is the same one that I've carried with me when it comes to my inspiration and motivation. You know, your motivation shouldn't be to copy famous celebrities, that you can drive a fancy car or live in a big fancy house. Your motivation should be your family. Family is it's a very important part of everyday life. You know, it helps us in improving our personality. And it also helps us in shaping our life. It teaches us the value of love, affection, care, truthfulness, and self-confidence, and provides us tools and suggestions which are necessary to get success in life. And they help us in creating a strong future. And then we have the people around us that support us, believe in us when nobody else cares about us. And when you use the people closest to you as your form of motivation, it's actually a really powerful tool to take action. So, on that note, over to you, boys.
What did you find funny then? What was funny at the end?
Nothing.
Just obviously that was weird, but that was that. Did I put up the Vogue image at the correct time there, Maz, or was that because you did see me put it up, didn't you? There's thumbs. So that's so those all British people on that magazine cover, Maz.
Sorry.
Are those British people on that
Yes,
cover?
they are. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Obviously, they needed some other influences.
Well, there's Vogue UK, isn't there? There's Vogue UK and
There is Vogue UK.
It is Vogue UK. Yeah,
that's right. So,
Yeah.
but they
I
should
think it's amazing that that actually you didn't have a famous celebrity on there, but actually these guys got the recognition, and they are representing the thousands of people out there. It is not just the NHS. I've said that before. There's so many key workers out there. So on Thursday, when we're clapping at 8:00, it's not just for the NHS.
we don't do that anymore.
I think
No,
it's
I know.
as well.
Last week, was it?
Yeah, it was finished now. The clapping's finished now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad they said about that because we didn't want it to dwindle out, did we? Because that would have been terrible if only a couple of people came out clapping. But they did stop it all in good time there. But yeah, they are. Showing those people on the front cover of Vogue is important because they are. I don't want to put them down as heroes because it's their job they're doing, but they have considerably helped keeping Britain moving, and key workers across the world really have kept the whole world moving. So yeah, I think it's a really good move of Vogue. Very brave of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a question for you, Matt.
Yes.
Why don't you think they're heroes?
No, well, okay. It's their job. Yeah. So that
Superman's job is to be a hero. He's a hero.
Yeah,
that's correct. Yeah,
he saves lives. They're saving lives. They're heroes, aren't they?
They're not as a superhero, are they? That's what I'm saying. They've took
a job description.
I don't think they took their jobs to come out as heroes. They've took their job because they want to give something to community and society. So I think they'll be the last people to say that they're heroes.
I don't know. I think the one thing that I've sort of it's one of those things that there's a debate that I would like to have. Whether now is the time, you guys can let me know about the whole sort of discrepancy between the value that we assign, and I'm on about prior to COVID-19, to people in the medical industry, particularly nurses and all the people in and around that environment, and also teachers, because I've always had this little thing, and like I say, whether this is the time, you guys tell me. We are now celebrating people in the medical industry, as heroes, and we are, they're on the front cover of Vogue, and the same way that normally a ridiculously overpaid model would be on the front cover of Vogue, and yet those people that save lives and have put themselves in harm's way, they've seen their colleagues dying around them as a result, and they've kept going and doing that job. It's like being in a war zone, what they've been doing, very similar. And yet, when all this is over, I get the feeling they're still going to be fairly low paid, a lot of these people, and we'll go back to being not very, but just fairly low on the scheme of things from an economical point of view. And I've always thought, isn't it weird that we don't pay our nurses very much money? And okay, some of the highly paid surgeons get paid a lot of money, fair enough. But in general, some of the staff further down the food chain in the medical industry get fairly rubbish wages. And isn't it like one of the most important jobs in the world to save lives, to help with all of that care? And I've always thought it's a bit odd that that's the case. And it's the same with teachers, because I actually think that teachers have got one of the most important jobs in our society, because they are shaping young people's minds. And we know that as a young age, they are extremely susceptible to the influences that they have around them, one of which is obviously what they do at school. And surely we should be ensuring we get the absolute best quality people to carry out that job. And yet teachers don't seem to get paid, I don't think, proportionally to what they are worth. And at the moment, teachers are, you know, they're I mean, Maz, this is probably something you're going to want to bring up tomorrow. They seem to be doing a lot of moaning and a lot of maybe I got this wrong. Somebody are probably going to moan at me for this. You know, they're complaining a lot, and now the schools aren't going to be open, and yet we've got the nurses and the doctors who are going in every day, putting themselves in harm's way, and it just seems a bit odd. Just seems a bit odd to me.
Yeah, it's a point. It's a valid point. I mean, teachers are. I think the schools aren't going in, from obviously what I know, because they can't physically do what they've got to do for the whole school, because the government have said, right, you're gonna have years 1 and 10, sort it out. So the schools have sorted it out because they haven't been told what to do, which is cool. They have to think for themselves, and we've brought that subject up many a time over the past 10 weeks. You've got to think for yourself. So all the schools have sort of clumped together and said, right, we need to do this, and we've got to do this in the classroom, and we're going to bring the kids in a certain way. If you can't bring, you can't bring any more kids in. I can tell you that the schools around here, they can't physically bring any more people in because of the social distancing that they've had to put in place, and the amount of how many teachers they've got to get in for each group and each bubble, because it's not 30 anymore. It's now between 10 and 15. So we're now using up more there's no more classroom space in the schools. That's the problem. I don't think it's down to anything else other than they want to wait till September until hopefully it will die down a little bit more and we can pack them back into the schools, because we just don't have the space in the schools. That's the reason for that. But go on, Maz.
Sorry. I am going to touch on schools tomorrow because I'm so annoyed. My daughter's Millie has gone back today. My daughter has. It was her first day today.
Yeah.
And it was a nightmare to get her into school. They got to a private school, no reduction in fees. But anyway, we were at the gate. They had the stickers for 2 meters, and teachers came out. And was it a teacher or a monster? I couldn't tell. Malia was so frightened as to what the teachers were wearing. I thought,
did they have PPE on?
It was weird. I mean, I don't know what sort of PPE that was. It was like gas masks, and I thought, seriously? No.
Norwich is not allowed to. They're not allowed to wear it.
Yeah. So she got in, and the teacher said, "Right, I need to temperature check a temperature." I said, "Okay." Check the temperature, and she said, "Okay, just leave her here. You can't come in now." Yeah. So Malia went in, and then another parent did it. They must have stood for at least an hour this morning. Thank God we got there first. And I came home, and my husband said and he was quite emotional today because after 10 weeks, Malia's gone back to school today. It was like her first day back to school. And I said it felt like some concentration camp or something. She went in and I was so uncomfortable, even though I'm all for kids going to school. But she's gone in today and I've come home and I'm sad. I'm thinking, how is she sitting in that classroom today with a teacher dressed like that? Anyway, it was all going on in my mind. And then Sky News popped up saying, oh, they don't want to open schools till September. One end, you've got the government saying open restaurants, pubs with less than 1 meter. And these are adults where you've got more chance of catching the virus. And then you've got a school where actually you don't need 2 meters because children are really low risk. We've touched on it before. It's like we're going to have a lost generation. What about the education? What about our parents, their sanity? We've all had to go back to work. What about these children? How long can we homeschool them? I'm really annoyed.
We can see that, and this is the problem that I've been saying all along, because the government have not instructed, and because we have to rule with common sense here, but we know common sense is very much lacking in certain countries in the world, and the government have just said go back in. So they've gone back in and done the best they can. If the government said, just get everybody back into school, forget about social distancing, don't worry about it, everybody back in, and there was a problem, you'd be the first one to moan, though, wouldn't you, Maz?
Because I know kids are low risk. Look at the stats, look at the figures, Matt.
They're
Grant?
carriers. They aren't just because they don't suffer from it, but they're carriers though.
To children.
Yeah.
But they're low risk.
Just in terms of the what happened this morning, did the school communicate what was actually going to happen? Did they give you, kind of a plan of action, guidance as to?
Yeah, they said that we're only open for 2 days, but they've called me since now saying actually she can only come in this week. With the government, actually next week she can't come in, and I lost it. I said, okay, great. She won't come in next week. You won't bloody get any fees. That's fine. If she can't come in till September, you don't have your money. I'm annoyed. Okay. I am so annoyed. I cannot tell you.
Well, you are.
The teachers aside, the government is kind of making it up as they're going along. So, what do you expect from the actual schools? They don't know. They've got very little guidance, and they're just trying to make things. I mean, Anya's actually is loving her homeschooling experience. It's something she's been banging on for years that she wanted to be homeschooled anyway. So she's the one who gets up first thing in the morning, makes herself breakfast, gets her workstation ready, super organized, don't have to worry about a thing. So yeah, I think it's a pretty good scenario. My wife works at the school. She's had to go back to prepare some of the areas for kids going back. But schools have been running all the way through this. Serving the children of key workers and serving the children of people. Vulnerable children of parents who basically can't look after themselves properly. But not the children's fault.
I'm more annoyed at the government more than the schools because I understand, but it's like Matt said.
Hayley going back to school, Maz, has been, she's been anxious about that. Why should I go back? There's hardly any children there, and it's just because the school doesn't really know what to do. They've not really been properly briefed as to what the rules are going to be going forward. And I agree with you, Matt. Social distancing rules. I mean, have you seen a corridor in a school, in between lessons and a break time? Yeah. I mean, this is how you're gonna do that. I mean,
Dorridge School, where my wife works, and they seem to have nailed it down. They've got it nailed. They've got different entrances, people dropping off in the mornings. They've got everything. They've really worked hard over the weeks they've had to know and they've got it back in. But they cannot service more than the years 1 and 10, and that's the end of it because they just haven't got space. And it's just to stay within those guidelines. But
Solihull and Dorridge actually went back to school, didn't they? Because a lot of the schools. So some of the councils decided not to go back. Some of the councils decided to go back, which I also think is why is there ambiguity on that? Why is it not just a one rule for all councils, for all schools, all across the nation?
Because the government don't like telling people what to do.
Right.
And it's just all telling organisations what to do. That we've found after being discussing this for 10, 11 weeks, we found this is the key and the problem that we've had with this government. They've done some great things. They've worked out some good things, but I think they've fallen over in lots of other parts, which is not explaining and telling people what to do. They're the flaming government. They should be able to work this stuff out and then tell people what to do because they're the government, and the state schools are they're organised by the LEA and then the government. They should be telling them what to do, but they didn't, and they had to work it out for themselves. Thank God we got some semi-intelligent people at that school who worked it out really well. But it's but the PPE thing, Maz, I'm surprised at that because they took a vote on it at Dorridge and said, no, we're not having any because it's going to scare the kids.
Yeah, it was really bad when she went in this morning, and all day I've been so worried. I've said to my husband, I won't send her now. I said, all day I've just sat here thinking, what sort of school has she gone to today?
There's no education going on.
Yeah, and it's just made me think, do I want her to be in that environment? Teachers looking like monsters? No, I don't.
It's just ticking a box. It's just ticking a box to get some school back in.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, guys, I've got to run in about 5 minutes.
That's all right.
Yeah. On government, they seem to lead with ambiguity and sound bites. So we're working on a little bit of a program based on the soundbite that came out yesterday which is called Save Summer. That's the soundbite that's come out, and with that, they're looking to open up pubs. Obviously, hairdressers, beauty salons are going to come open again. So Grant and I are going to be working on a little program on that, but it's to save summer. But how? We don't know.
Are you going to work that? That's how Elon Musk does it. He just comes up with a tagline and just works stuff out afterwards. Grant, anyway, so Ed, do you jump off when you want? I think Grant wants to have a little talk about the pubs and opening up the pubs, don't you, Grant?
Oh yeah, because it's something that's been in the news the last couple of days, and it's something that's close to our heart. Matt and I obviously have run pubs in the past, and we've got a lot of customers that are pubs as well, and we've had some awesome success stories with pubs and restaurants. Mainly throughout lockdown, because we obviously produce mobile apps at Blam, and we've had pubs that have and restaurants that have had a mobile app and been able to do delivery and takeaway. They've never done that before, and it's completely changed the way that they are now thinking about the way that they do their service, the way that they build their revenue. And because they've now made this announcement that pubs are likely to be open, they've said the 4th of July. They were hinting at earlier, I think, originally, but it's looking like, and it's still not confirmed, in the UK, pubs will be open on the 4th of July, so Independence Day, with social distancing rules, but they still haven't been confirmed how they are. But what's been really cool is over the last week or so, because this has been in the news, we've been approached by quite a few pubs, and I think, Ed, you've actually sold one to a local pub, where we'll be able to go into the pub, download the app, sit at the table, order our drinks through the app, and then they'll either bring the drinks to the table or shout at the bar, Grant Stain, your 5 pints of Brewdog are now ready. Which, and Ed and I were talking about this morning. It's actually a really good thing, because normally when you go to the pub, when it's busy, back in the old days, sometimes you can be stood at a busy bar, getting overlooked, missing your place in the queue when the bartender's not paying attention. I wonder whether this whole thing is going to change the way that we order drinks these days going forward in pubs, because it is just so much more convenient to go and find your table, put your order in, and then they shout you when your order's ready. And that way, as long as the tables are spaced out appropriately, in terms of the social distancing, and you're with people that are in your group, you can just go to the bar when your drinks are ready. There's no overcrowding. I just wonder whether, they talk about the new normal. I can see this taking off. I can see this really being a thing. What do you guys think? In fact, as Maz would say, what do you think, boys and girl?
And I think I hate going to the bar and ordering a drink for a start. I detest it.
I've noticed that, mate.
Yeah, because I don't go.
And paid for one.
I send somebody else.
It's because you have to pay when you get there.
Yeah, always send Mark Linton. That's him. Just always send him.
That's it. Where is he?
I think it's a great idea ordering from out. But the Witherspoons apps, which has been running this for a year or so, haven't they? The ordering and bringing it over to your table.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, I presume they do it with drinks. I've used it a couple of times for food, and it works really well. Yeah. They've got like a big screen, and you can, a bit like McDonald's do it, But Ed was saying that there's a couple of places. I think he's in Canada. He was saying we did a fair bit of work in Canada, and some of these bars, there's a lot, sort of real ale bars or what they call craft beer bars are massive in Canada, and a lot of them have got like iPads on the table or tablets on the table where you just order at the table and it comes over. I can see this starting to be, the acceleration to where we would have got anyway. But I'm quite excited by it. I've got, not least obviously because I'm going to sell loads of apps, but it's also, it's just really cool. It's the way it's more convenient, and that's really what technology should do. It should improve our experience. It should help. They should be able to sell more doing it that way, because they'll be able to get more people in the pub.
Yeah.
If they space the tables out enough, they won't have to worry about, queuing or all that sort of nonsense. I'm quite excited.
No, I think it's going to be great. I mean, just ordering from your table is just brilliant, you know, and especially from an app, it's just great fun. I just love it. I love technology. I think it's brilliant. And well
so
done
here's
the apps.
Yes. Well, do you know what? There's been some great. Oh, go on, Maz.
Sorry, just to say on they do this in Dubai as well, and I've gone to Toronto where you've got, it's like an iPad, so you order your food and then they give you like a buzzer, so when the food is ready the buzzer buzzes and then you go over and you pick your food up.
Yeah, you get those in the UK as well. That's a bit antiquated though, isn't it, having carrying a big blooming buzzer around when you can just do it on your mobile. And also that would be a bit messy with social distancing and hygiene and all that sort of stuff. The fact that you can use your own phone means you haven't got to interact with anything else.
That's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, and it just kind of ticks all the boxes. You know, and if we can get pubs out, you know, doing this and helping them open, making them understand that, you know, and restaurants, you know, I was on the phone to a guy yesterday from Canada. We did an app for him last week. And the guy who ran the restaurant in Canada, you know, had never had any kind of technology before. We did an app for him. And he was going to open for 3 days doing takeaway. He ran out of food on the Saturday. He was going to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He ran out of food on the Saturday. He was absolutely inundated with orders, completely overwhelmed. And I hear this story over and over again. When people embrace the technology, because the convenience that it provides, you know, and I've banged down about this for years, and it's why I'm so, you know, sort of pleased with this, is that it's proving what I've been saying for years, is that when you engage with a loyal audience, so if you're a pub owner or a restaurant owner, you've got loyal customers that love your food or love your premises, love your drinks. And if you give them the opportunity to make purchasing from you more convenient using an app, you'll get more business. And I've seen that for the last few weeks over and over again. And it's awesome, because what I'm hoping is this is going to help us. You know, I keep banging on about the bounce back. We can use technology to be creative to help bounce back, you know, to try and get us back to where we need to be, because, you know, we're going to hit a recession. We know that, but we can leverage technology to actually get people trading, get people spending money by making it more convenient for them.
Yeah.
And I love that. So my question was going to be, I can definitely see a change in the way that pubs operate. And I don't just mean for the short term. I could see this being an accelerated way of getting us to the point where we're no longer going to need to queue at the bar unless you go to some old school retro bar that still deals in money. Remember money? Do you remember money? like the notes. Do you remember that? Yeah. What else? What other things are going to change, guys? How are we going to come out of this in a completely different world?
Well, I think I think obviously retail is going to change. I can't really see, unless we get a vaccine rapid. I think retail will still be online. I think it will stay online. People order, and the only reason they go to the shop is to pick up the product. I think that's going to be the fundamental change, and it was leading that way anyway. Because that's how Next worked. You know, if you want your product fast, you could order it online, get it all packaged up for you, pay for it online, take your phone in, walk up to the store, show your phone, scan it, product there, take it away with you. No browsing around, you know, no bumping into people. And I think retail that's the way it's going to go. Obviously, it's still going to be difficult to do that with every single business, but I think the majority of businesses will be able to do it. And I think the landscape of retail is going to change completely. That's my feelings anyway.
I'd agree with that, Matt. Yeah, on that, because I know I shop for the experience. When I go, it's about trying things on, deciding, do I want this? Does it look good? And now that there'll be no changing rooms and only a certain amount of people in the store, can't try anything on, can't touch anything that I can't buy. Is it my worthwhile doing that journey, paying for parking, going up to the store, not being able to try anything on, unless I know specifically what I'm going to pick? I wouldn't want to go. It's like you said, it will be more online.
Yeah. I mean, New York is just opening up this week. Obviously, they had a terrible side of the epidemic in New York itself. But they're opening up, and they're just doing curbside deliveries for all the shops. So you just pull up in your car, and somebody comes out the store, and you show them your phone, and they go back in and get your product and come out and put it for your back window or into your boot, and off you go. So it's I think it's the way it is. And you know what? The kids have been doing this for the past year because they all order all the products online. They all get delivered. They try them on, don't want them, package them back up, and they have got no problems with returning something. And a lot of their stores that my daughter uses are all completely set up for returns. That's the main thing. They've even got printed off stuff inside them, ready just to be sent back if it doesn't fit. So the retail landscape for me is definitely going to change. That's my thoughts, Grant.
Yeah, and I think that is quite a scary thought, really, because the knock-on effect to that is ultimately they're not going to need anywhere near as much space for retail.
No,
a lot of them won't. Well, they won't even bother. They'll just do deliveries. They'll just turn into online businesses, which is going to affect the landscape of our town centres, of the property market, commercial property market, and there'll be a complete change if that's what happens in the long term. So we're in for some very interesting times to come in that whole area. I don't know whether interesting is the right word. It's quite scary, I think, for a lot of people.
It's scary, but you know what the main thing is? I think if the businesses that don't adapt, and then we always say this with all recessions and depressions that we may be going into. Every time there's a recession, we lose some big names, don't we? On the Woolworths and all the ones from the last time, because they never adapted, they never changed their business model. And as long as the modern retailers can change their business model and move with it, they'll be fine. But they've got to change. They can't just stay there and just think they can ride this out, because they will fail. They'll fail. Department stores, I think, are going to be ones that suffer. The big department stores. Right. Okay. Well, that's about it. That ended a little bit on a sad note there, but that's the way this whole pandemic has done, and it's pushed things forward, and in good ways and bad, unfortunately. Right. So thank you very much for joining us. Thanks a lot to Ed for joining us as well. He's had to zip off, unfortunately. So we'll be back tomorrow at midday. Thanks, Grant. Thanks, Maz. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Ciao.
There it is.
Ciao.